Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday this and that where I talk about all kinds of different topics, giving you updates of what's going on around here, answering a few questions, giving some suggestions, talking about the garden or whatever else I feel like talking about. So let's get to the topics of today, starting off with secondhand jars. So last week I had a video come out. Which one was it? Oh, I think it was in the collaboration video I did, where I was talking about how you can get jars secondhand, etc., etc. A lot of times people are just giving away boxes of canning jars, or you can find them for free, or you can find them for really cheap at garage sales. Well, somebody had brought up how they had picked up a bunch of canning jars secondhand, and we're telling people to beware because there were a lot of mayonnaise jars in there, and so they threw them all out. And I was like, whoa, you threw them all out? There's a lot of uses for those, even if you believe you should never can in them. It should be known that many people back in the day, when they made mayonnaise jars and packaged them in glass, were reusing the mayonnaise jars for canning. My mother-in-law was one of them, did it for many years, and I know many others that have. What some people have to understand is that the canning guidelines are constantly being changed and becoming more rigid as time goes by. But anyone I know who's ever canned in mayonnaise jars, including myself, never had any problems. But if that makes you uncomfortable because of the current canning guidelines, you can still use these jars for many, many other things. So I wouldn't throw them out if you found you had mayonnaise jars in your free boxes or cheap boxes you picked up of secondhand jars. And this jar, for example, gets used for making a certain substance I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube, but it involves a certain precious metal and making it into an infused liquid. And then that gets used for various things. If you want more information on that, you'd have to go over to my Rumble channel, and I'll try to remember there to link to the playlist to that particular thing in the description box. Let's talk about any other canning jars that maybe you don't have all the appropriate parts to use it as a canning jar, or maybe those canning jars had slight chips in the rim, or maybe even you've got some brand new jars that had some kind of defect. Like I have one, I think it's a ball jar, that all along the rim there's some kind of defect. It took me a while to figure out why my jar wouldn't seal. I kept thinking it was a lid, and then finally I ran my finger around the rim and realized there were little tiny bumps all along there. It was just a defect that happened during the production of the jar. So any such jars can be recycled in many ways, just like your mayonnaise jars or even any other product jar. Now I'm going to be doing a separate video I'm shooting today that I'll go into a lot more ideas. But here's an example right here. Now this particular old ball jar, though I do have a glass lid that I can sit on there, I would never use it for canning because there's chips along the edge. It's a pretty old jar. However, I use it as decor. Typically I have a cluster of fake grapes hanging out of it, and it sits in my kitchen window. But occasionally I will use it as a vase. Makes a beautiful vase. And these are all different herbs from my garden. I've got feverfew, orange mint, lavender, obviously, some mini roses, and some, a couple of arnicas that I accidentally cut. And when I was cutting these, the heal-all, also known as self-heal, and your herbs, by the way, can make beautiful bouquets. You don't have to grow flowers just for the sake of making arrangements. You can use your excess herbs of all kinds. This is just one example. But anyway, vases, especially with the regular mount, they're great for vases. And then here's something here. Now these I bought new. However, if you have any jars of this size that you found secondhand, maybe they have some kind of issues with them. They can be used for storing things like sugar, cream of tartar, and baking soda, or just a jar of baking powder. I do the two separately since I make my own, and I just mix them when I need it. I don't pre-mix it. So these always sit on my counter because they look pretty, and I don't need for them to be able to seal since this is something I'm using almost every day in some form. And then the sugar like this gets used when I'm feeding my little fermentation starter, when I use it to get my bread started. So my fermentation starters, I don't need to have the jars be able to seal. Same thing when I'm getting my bread going, which I'll be making up tomorrow. I get it started about 3 days in advance. The jars don't have to be able to seal. So even if they're product jars of this size or bigger, whatever size you want to use, they can be used for such things. They can be used for storing items like on my shelf. You can see the empty spot. That was this. And I don't need these to seal because these are things I'm working through. I don't need to keep vacuum sealing them. I certainly don't need to can them. So they store my different herbs and such for making teas. This right here is turkey tail mushroom we got from our piece of property right down the road. They can be used for storing your homemade laundry powder, or in this case, your homemade tooth powder, which this is out here because I need to make more. I always set the empty jar out so I don't forget, because Patrick just refilled his little jar of tooth powder out of this and took the last of it. So that's one of the things I got to do. They can be used for fermenting. You don't need a seal on your jars when you're fermenting. Just like back here with these half-gallon jars, I've got vinegar. These are two different batches of floral vinegar, pretty much the same. This one has more lavender flowers. This one has more rose petals. And these are the ones I use for washing my hair with. Now, that is just a short list. Like I said, I'll be going into more details on the many ways you can use jars that you may not feel comfortable canning in for whatever reason. So let's move on from there and talk a little bit. Got to move all my stuff out of the way about my latest Azure Standard order. I only left a couple of things out to show you, but I don't talk about this every single month, but usually when I get some new products in that I've been trying out, that's when I usually do my updates. Every month I order some organic whole milk. Every so often I'll order some cheese, butter, I'll get the big package of it so I can freeze or store it in the fridge until I need it. And flours, grains, and the list goes on. You might have seen many of my other Azure Standard videos, but what I wanted to cover today mostly was a while back I had bought just one of these natural scrubbers. So it's made out of plant fibers, not actual sponge, sea sponge, but plant cellulose. And then the scrubbing part is made out of walnut. And I like this thing so much, I have been trying to get more, wanting to buy the whole box. But the last couple times I tried to order it, they were out. And so I was finally able to get a whole box. How many are in here? 24. It's a 24 pack. So I've already stuck a couple of these in one in each bathroom. I'm going to store a couple in here, and then the rest of them will just get stored out in the shop. So I'm pretty happy with these. They work just as well as the plastic ones you get from the store. Now, the other things that I tried, there's another flavor out now that I'm going to order next month. But they're called fruit bites. I thought it'd be fun just to try them. So they're just made from dried fruit, but they're a soft, kind of a ball shape. I'll take one out and show you. And so I tried these two different flavors, and they're this big. They're quite soft, actually. And this one here is called Pineapple Passion. And it sounded really good, but I have to say I really don't care for this one. The pineapple part of it tastes good, and I love the taste of passion fruit. But to me in this, it's almost like the passion fruit tastes like it was overcooked or something. It just isn't quite right. I don't know if it's just the batch I got, if they're all like that, but I should probably shut my sliding glass door since one of my young cockerels is making a lot of noise out there. But anyway, I'll show you how soft they are. I can just pull it apart. It's almost like bread, but a little stickier. But this one, I love. And this is mango chili. So it's, if you like spice, this is a really good one because they're a little spicy. Plus they're mango. Oh my goodness, they are so good. And the only thing that's in here is organic chili and organic mango. But there's another one I noticed when I was looking again because I wanted to get some more of these. And I noticed it was, I think it was mango coconut, so it didn't have the spice. And so I'm going to try those just more for the sake of the grandkids to see if they like those. Now, I didn't try to give them one of these because I was afraid it might be a little too spicy for them, and Jax wouldn't like it. He doesn't like spice. Jace and Rowan don't mind some spice, but I just didn't want to surprise them with that. I did have them try this just to see if it was just me. None of them liked it. Jax and Rowan both immediately spit theirs out, and Jace wouldn't even try it. It's just like, But that's just my review on that. Again, it could just be the batch I got. So if anyone has tried these, please share your experience down below with those. And then I'm going to go shut my door because that rooster won't stop. And then I just want to remind everyone, so no, I don't believe Azure ships outside of the United States. However, a lot of places around the US have drop points. If you live in the right area, you can even get all your products shipped for free. But especially those people, the farther away you live from Oregon, I believe it is, you're going to pay somewhere around an 8.5% charge, and that is to help pay for the shipping costs because it takes fuel and time, and we know fuel is expensive. For some reason, even though we're still quite a ways away, because we're up in the northern part of Washington State, well, for some reason, they'll come here for free. I'm actually surprised because it took a long time to get a drop point set up here. However, if you do not have a drop point, you can still order and have it shipped to your home. There's just going to be a lot of perishable type items that you will not be able to order that way. It gets shipped via UPS or USPS and maybe Federal Express. I think it depends on what you select. I would always select whichever one had the lowest shipping cost. And the shipping is figured out by weight, because a lot of their products, especially when you're talking about bulk items like flour, grains, your rice, your oats, etc., you're going to be paying for the weight in the shipping. And when you're doing a big order, it can be quite expensive. And that's going to scare a lot of people away when they can go over here and get free shipping. But what a lot of people fail to do is do the actual price comparison. So what I would do when I was, debating on which place, do I want to buy this from this place that has free shipping or from Azure Standard where I have to pay shipping? This is back before we got a drop point. And I would do the math. I'd figure out, okay, I'd put the item in my cart on Azure Standard and act like I was going to check out so I could see what the shipping was. I would take that shipping cost, add it into the total of the grains or flour, whatever it was I was ordering, then divide that by how many pounds it was so I could figure out per pound what I was paying. And in some cases, it would just be comparing that total price to the total price of something of the same size, quality, etc., that had free shipping from another place. And when it came to those kind of things, I found that even with paying the shipping costs, I was still saving a little money ordering from Azure Standard. And so that's what a lot of people forget to do. They think, oh, free shipping means I don't have to pay shipping. Well, that's not true, because what's actually happening, the reason this product at the free shipping place is more expensive is because the shipping's already been added to the cost. And even though, you may have to order a certain amount to get that free shipping, they're still going to add that in there. So then what's going to happen is you're encouraged to buy more. Well, since you're already paying the shipping separately from Azure Standard, you don't have to buy more to get free shipping. You're just going to be paying that cost. So you could just get away with buying one item, have it shipped to you. But if they're a drop point, yeah, you can order just one item or 10 or 50, however much you want. Now, the next one I want to cover is just to make people aware that when you're buying any kind of product, that they have this product for humans and they'll have a product for pets. In most cases, they're the same product. Well, I shouldn't say most. I don't know about most, but I'll just say in a lot of cases, they're the same product, and one is they're just packaged differently. But what happens is that these places that do that can charge way more for the product labeled for pets. Knowing that you love your pet so much, you're going to pay more to make sure that pet can be as healthy as you. One example I've given is the turkey tail mushroom powder. So you can run out and buy turkey tail mushroom powder that's going to cost you maybe $10, $20 per ounce, or you can get, as long as it's pure turkey tail mushroom powder, you can get the one for humans and pay $25 for a whole pound. And it's the same stuff, and you can give it to your pets. So my son's a dog that's here quite often. She's had lipomas, and I read that turkey tail mushroom is really good for helping to dissolve lipomas. She's had them for years. And so I started with a small amount. I bought the $25 1-pound bag of turkey tail mushroom powder and started mixing it in with her food when she's here, and gave some to my son to give to her. And her lipomas have been shrinking. One is completely gone, and some others they're slowly shrinking, but they're shrinking. And she just looks healthier. And this was not the very expensive package of turkey tail mushroom powder that was for pets. So just know that. All you got to do is look more closely at the ingredients. If it's healthy enough for you, it should be healthy enough for your pets. The same thing applies to bone broth powder. You do not have to buy a bone broth powder that is labeled specifically for pets. As long as it's a good bone broth powder from grass-fed beef or whichever kind of animal, or you're making your own bone broth powder by making your own bone broth, then dehydrating it and powdering it up, it's going to be just as good for them, as probably better, the kind you make yourself, than what you're buying at the store. So just double check the product. You could be paying a lot more for something just because of the labeling. And the pet thing is just one of the many what I call scams when it comes to a lot of the products. Oh, and then the last thing is talking a little bit about gardening stuff besides my pretty little display of herbs here. Is that I've been doing this for a little while this summer, but I don't always remember to talk about. But I've been making some salads from my garden, and I just always like to show the pictures I take, because one of my favorite things about summer is making a salad that is 100% from my garden. Now, my salad at this point, my tomatoes have a while before they're ripe, but once I have ripe tomatoes, they go in there too. But it's all based on whatever's coming in at the time. So the salad I'm showing you in this image has a mix of lettuces, of reds and greens, plus some lamb's quarter that grows wild in my garden, and I let it do so because it's healthy and it's tasty and so good for you. Plus nasturtium leaves and flowers, pansy flowers, and you can use the leaves as well. Snow peas, my snow peas have been coming in, and then some green onions and some herbs such as golden oregano, fresh basil. Sometimes I'll throw in some fresh thyme. I was going to do that in this, and then I totally forgot. And I'm sure there's some other things in that salad I'm forgetting to mention. You can even throw some garlic greens in there. Just like with your green onions, you can just cut the greens off your garlic and chop them up and add them into your salads. They're just so pleasing to the eye, but with all those different things thrown in there, they just add so much flavor. It's not just a boring salad of just lettuce. You've got all these different flavors that are getting combined in there. And when I have cucumbers coming in, I'll throw those in there too. Which I don't know if I'm going to get cucumbers this year. My cucumber plants have not been doing well. But so there's that. And then also summertime is when I like to get my soap making done for the year. So here's my first batches for, I'm going to be doing more soon. Even though I haven't made soap making videos in a long time, I do still make my own soap. And I have all kinds of different recipes out there. But what I usually do just for us, I mean, because I've done the fancy ones, adding some of the herbs from my garden and all the essential oils or some oats or whatever. But typically for us, I just like making a white soap. And I don't need all the fancy fluff. I may add essential oils just for an added smell. Like to this, I added peppermint oil because it's one of the cheapest essential oils. And it's got a nice, clean, fresh smell to it. I find a beauty in the simplicity of a good white soap. I really, really do. I like doing the fun stuff every once in a while, but it's so unnecessary just to make soap for yourself. Though I will say, one thing I did differently with this soap. So now I'm using coconut oil and castor oil in there, mostly coconut oil, but this time I also added some avocado butter that I forgot I had, that I'm going to try to work through. It's very smooth and creamy, has no scent to it, and it's a good one just to use straight if you've got some really dry spots. But it's smooth enough that it's easy to massage in, unlike maybe cocoa butter or mango butter. So I'm going to start using that in my soap because I always forget I have it because I just use my skin cream anyway, my homemade skin cream. One thing to know though, I don't remember if I say that in any of my videos, which I'll be linking to the playlist in the description box down below. But anytime you're using any kind of butter, whether it be shea butter, mango butter, cocoa butter, or even the avocado butter, the thicker and harder it is, the faster your soap will start setting up as you're mixing it. So you got to work quickly with it. And even though this was my first time trying it with the avocado butter, I was expecting that, and it certainly did. Even though it's not quite as hard as the mango and cocoa butter, and a little softer yet than shea butter, it still wanted to set up quickly. So you got to work fast. So anyway, that's my updates for the week. I hope you enjoyed it, and any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, please put those in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.